Hi friends! Today we are going to talk about how to create and configure a Jenkins job to run a JMeter script which is stored in GitHub. Now before we begin, I want to mention that this video is not for absolute beginners. You should already know what Jenkins is, why it is used, how to create or record a JMeter script, and how to push the script to GitHub. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that you already have access to Jenkins and have the script ready on GitHub. In this video, we'll talk about the Jenkins GitHub plugin, how to configure your Jenkins job to get your jmeter script from GitHub, and how to execute the jmeter script as part of the Jenkins job. So without wasting any more time, let's dive right in. For this demo, I'm using the Jenkins Docker container, which is running on my local machine. Now you might be using a Jenkins instance in the cloud or on your local machine without a Docker container. That shouldn't really matter. The Jenkins version I'm using here is 2.222. Now based on the Jenkins version you are using, you might see some difference in the Jenkins UI. For me, this is a fresh Jenkins install. While installing Jenkins as part of the initial setup, I did install all suggested plugins, and source code management plugins were installed as part of this initial setup. Now, if you want to verify what plugins you have installed, you can click on Manage Jenkins, scroll down, click on Manage Plugins, then Installed. You'll see the list of installed plugins. We'll go ahead and search for Git here, and you should see Git plugin and GitHub plugin in this list. Now, if you do not see those plugins in this list, go ahead and click on Available. Search for Git again, and you should see those two plugins in the list. Once you see the plugins you want to install, you can simply click on the checkbox next to it. Now, of course, we do not need this CCM plugin, but just to give you an example, because I already have these plugins installed, once you click on the checkbox, you should see a small button here which says Install without restart. Alright, so once you have this button available, just go ahead and click on this button, and this will install the selected plugins for you. Once you have these plugins installed, let's go back to Jenkins Home and create our new job. To create a new job, click on New Item, enter the name for your job here, and then click on Freestyle Project. Now I already have a project created, so let's just go ahead and take a look at that. I'm gonna go back to the home. I'm gonna click on small arrow next to this job and click on Configure. On this screen, I'm going to scroll down to Source Code Management section. Or you can also click on Source Code Management tab on the top. When you come to this section for the first time, you'll see something like this. So go ahead and click on Git. I have my GitHub repository open. I use a URL under clone and download and pasted it under repository URL. If you do not have GitHub credentials created already, go ahead and create it now. Click on Add, select the credential provider, leave the domain as is, click on SSH username and private key, you can leave everything else empty, enter your GitHub username, select enter directly, click on add, and enter your GitHub private key, SSH private key here. Once you add that, go ahead and click on add and close this. I already have this added, so I'm just gonna click on cancel. Once you add your credentials, you should see it under here, and then you can just select your credential. When you scroll down, you can enter the branch name on which your JMeter script is. Do not forget to add / before your branch name. Now the next step is not required. This is optional. But I selected to extract my repository under a subdirectory within the workspace. Again, this is not required. You can skip this step. Now let's scroll down to the build section and click on add build step dropdown. Here we'll select execute shell, and after that you'll see something like this. Now in order to execute a JMeter script, we'll have to have JMeter installed. Let's go ahead and do that. Now the first two lines here are not required. I added them for debugging. Next line is to get the jmeter.tgz file using curl. It's the same file which is available on official JMeter website. You can just copy its path, and using curl you can get that file in Jenkins. I'm storing this file with -o option as Apache jmeter 5.3 tar.gz. Next line here extracts the downloaded .tgz file. You do not need to do this for every single job that you run. You can make it a little smarter to check if JMeter is already available and skip the download and extraction part. Now in order to run the JMeter script, we will cd into the JMeter home directory and then to bin. Run the JMeter script using the command line. Notice, when I provide the script path, I'm using the relative path and my script is under a subdirectory. I'm using -n to run JMeter without UI, providing the test plan path with -t, using -l to provide the log file name, and a user-defined parameter host. Ideally, you will create a shell script which does all this for you and have that shell script under the same GitHub repository and just execute that shell script here. Now for now, let's just go ahead and save this. Now let's go ahead, run our job and see it in action. I'm going to click on build now. Go to console output. And here you can see that our job has started running. This is the workspace that this job will be using. It's trying to get the code from GitHub repository. These are the contents of the workspace. It's trying to download the tar.gz from jmeter. It's extracting the tgz file. It's probably going to take a couple of minutes here. All right, so here it finished extracting the .tgz file. It's changing directory to jmeter home and then bin, and it has actually started the jmeter test for us. Remember, our log file or result file will be called result.jtl, and looks like it did run the test successfully. There are no errors. It's doing the cleanup, and this test ended, and the job finished successfully. Let's quickly go back and take a look at the workspace. I'm gonna click on the workspace, and this is how workspace looks. So remember how we said extract the repository in a subdirectory? So this is that subdirectory, and these are the contents of that subdirectory, and our jmeter script is inside this folder here, and that's the jmeter script. I'm gonna go back, click on the workspace again, and now we'll go ahead and look at the result file. So results file is gonna be under jmeter home bin and then result.jtl. All right, and here you can see the results. Test was successful, and this is it. Do let me know if you have any suggestions or questions about this video in the comments section below. If this video helped you in any way, do not forget to like and share it. More videos related to performance testing and test automation are coming soon. So stay tuned and see you in the next one.